Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining for today's session. We are going to cover a topic on poultry observation, and this is on identifying problems quickly at our farm. So I hope I'm audible enough. I hope that my screen as well is visible. If Patrick, you can confirm from your end.
Yes, Daniel, we can be able to see your presentation.
Thank you. You have joined Unga KENCHIC online training. On this Tuesday, we've been having this series of trainings, and we know that by the end of today's session, you'll have learned 1 or 2, 3 points. So today will be a bit different. We'll interact a lot. There are some questions I'm going to be asking in terms of what you see on your screens. So it will be very easier for you to be able to just type in what you observe on the photos of the chat function, and then we'll be reviewing your observations. Whenever we have these presentations, I want to introduce where I work for. There is Unga Farm Care. Our main vision has been nutrition for life, and we have our key core values that each one of us as employees have to abide with, and that is self-responsibility, trust, respect, integrity, innovation, continued improvement, and teamwork. So for the ones who have interacted with Unga or have not yet interacted with Unga, we have commercial products in the market. We have distribution products. We do offer technical services like what you are doing right now, just to reach out to farmers to try and improve their day-to-day management of farms. As well, we do have customized animal nutrition solutions based on the needs at the farm. So then this series of trainings we've been having has been all around the 3 balls, the feed, farm, and health aspect. So we have covered aspects to do with feed management. We've covered aspects to do with farm management and as well as health management. So if you missed any of our sessions, that has been our calendar all the way from February 2021. And so then you can find there that quite a lot has been covered over a period of time. And so today, as one of the sessions, it's basically on poultry observation. So some of these trainings we have combined to have an Android app called the Smart. So if you're able to download it, put it in your phone, you'll be able to access some of this information that we have tried to compile. So please, if you have not downloaded the Smart, just make sure it is in your phone. We strive to continue to update the content so that we'll be able to be current with what is happening in terms of poultry business. So today has been observation, and so then this observation in a nutshell is summarized what you're seeing on your screen, and that is what we call the stockmanship. So then our core tagline today is staying alert on the bird's behaviors and the environment. So then that's stockmanship. So it entails everything to do with the animal husbandry. It entails everything to do with attention to details. It entails a lot of to do with observation, as you're going to do today. Knowledge and skills that you gather in your poultry business venture. Patience. As a business, you need to be patient. And of course, because you're taking care of birds, a lot of empathy and dedication to your work. So generally, this is what you're going to cover today. And therefore, 7 items as a farmer, as a poultry business investor, you need to have and you need to consider. These are I call them the 7 mantras. One is a good housing and adequate ventilation, good spacing, good temperature and humidity, good lighting, good nutrition and quality water supply, good health, and proper vaccination status, and poultry welfare. So then if you do take notes, please note the 7 points. These are the core driving mantra, I call it, for any poultry farmer, whether you're doing broilers, whether you're doing layers, or whether you're doing the improved kienyeji or kienyeji birds. So we are going to go to each and every item one by one so that we have an in-depth idea of the needs of a bird. So to start us with, we are going to start with good housing and adequate ventilation. So then, as hand indicated before, we are going to be going through a series of some photos. So whatever you find on the photos on your screen, please type. Kindly feel free to type in. Just type, say picture 1, I see this, say picture 2, I see this, and then you'll be able to review some of the comments that you've put across. So I'll just give you a bit of session. Just look at the photos. Whatever you pick, type it in. Are the picture visible, Patrick? Picture 1 and 2?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Perfect.
Daniel.
Okay. So then I'm waiting for feedback in terms of what do you observe, what do you pick, anything that you pick from those picture 1 and 2, just indicate it's picture 1, put your comments, would appreciate. Thank you, I hope you're doing that. So number 2, this sketch diagram has been shared before in some of our presentations. So this is what we have put across as an ideal poultry house that has clearly very good ventilation space. It has a ridge on top. It has a footpath, and the dimensions are given. Another sketch diagram to just show you the orientation of the house, that it needs to be on the east-west direction so that the sun will be passing along the roof of the house. But more importantly, what I'd want to share today is why do we emphasize on good ventilation? And this is because there is the creation of what we call the negative pressure inside the house. And so then basically what happens is that the first diagram you're seeing on top shows you of an open-sided house, and the prevailing wind assumption is coming from this direction of right. So as you're seeing, there's a bit of the prevailing wind that goes on top of the roof to the other side. And then there's a negative pressure, as you've seen inside the house, that is created by that movement of the prevailing wind, forcing the air inside the house to come out. So what this means is that for you to be able to get a good negative pressure created inside your open-sided house, you need enough of the prevailing wind. Yeah. So meaning if you don't have enough vegetation cover just right next to your house, it affects the flow of the prevailing wind, and hence you don't create enough of the negative pressure created, then you don't get enough good ventilation inside your house. And this is a core reason why we usually say before you construct a second house just near the other house, make sure there's enough corridor between the two houses. And the sole reason for this is because you'd want the negative pressure to be created inside the house so that the house can be ventilated correctly. In other high-tech houses, the environmentally controlled EC houses, you find that negative pressure is created by fans which suck the air out. So making that the inside the EC houses to have a negative pressure. So then this is a very important point for farmers as you're constructing your houses, that you make sure that you have good ventilation, and please space out two houses. Don't construct them near each other so that you have a good negative pressure created. Remember again, usually say that the width of a poultry house need not to be more than 10 to 12 meters. And it is a sole reason because you'd want to create enough of the negative pressure inside the house. Beyond 12 meters, 14 meters, 15 meters, you'll not be able to get enough of the negative pressure created. And you're going to be getting drafts inside that house. So then there is going to be poor air circulation inside the house. So then ventilation goes through a series of things. So then you start by heating and ventilation when you bring in the birds. So then this is a brooder stage. Then you go to the ventilation part where you stop brooding, and that means that you stop supplementing with an extra heat source. Then the third level of ventilation phase is where now you cool and ventilate. So then there are three phases in ventilation. So remember, in all the phases, there has to be ventilation. So then the first phase, we call it the minimum ventilation. Then the normal ventilation comes in. So some of the objectives we have in ventilation are clear. We need air flow. We need to remove moisture from the litter. We need to maintain the correct levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide inside the house. Of course, we need to regulate the internal temperatures inside the house. And of course, we need to maintain the correct dust particles, humidity, ammonia inside the house. So this brings me to the second need of a bird, and that is good spacing and stocking density. I've seen, Patrick, that you've key in that what you're seeing in picture 1 is an ideal open-sided ventilation. There is no ventilation within the house perimeter. Picture 2, you have indicated that there is vegetation within and around the house perimeter, which is very correct. Co-important thing on those photos, what I wanted you to pick up from these photos is that these farmers decided to have a very good ventilation strategy. As you can see from the sides of the wall, they are clearly very open. So then that makes this house to have definitely a good ventilation, air circulation inside the house. To the third photo, picture number 3. Patrick, please confirm on your end that you're able to see the photos. And as well, if you're able to see the photo, anyone can, on the chat function, just put their comments. Picture number 3, Patrick, are you able to see it?
Yes, I'm able to see the photo, Daniel.
Yeah, so then I'll request any one of you to as well just type in the chat function anything that you pick from that photo. So then I've got some more photos. Picture number 4 and picture number 5. So if you have anything that you've picked from those photos as well, just put it on the chat function, indicating which picture you're commenting on. I've seen Consolata, you say that there is congestion in picture number 3, which is very true. So then Linda as well has indicated it's too crowded and there's a limited ventilation from the first photo. Correct, I agree with you. What about picture 4 and 5? If there's anyone who is able to note any differences between picture 4 and 5? So just to carry on in terms of stocking density, we have shared this recommendations before of what we think that a broiler bird and a layer bird need to have their space according to their age. So just to note is that just to save on the brooding cost, we recommend that the first few days you have a high stocking density for broilers, and as you continue up until day 13, you can have the birds to be on the full house. So you divide the house into 3, so you gradually increase the space up until day 13 when you're going to utilize the entire space. For the layer birds as well, you continually gradually increase the space, and I so much insist for the farmers who are keeping layers, please observe these spacing requirements, because I've seen that most of us, we congest the birds, and the congestion of these birds has its own repercussions in terms of the growth of those birds, feeding of the birds, and access to water. So this can be shared to you at your convenience. Just reach out to any one of us. We'll be able to have this for your records. That summarizes on the stocking density. I'd want to dwell a bit on the good temperature and humidity. And I've seen some comments. Patrick is saying that picture 3, well-raised, clean equipment, congested. House picture 4, it is EC, whole house, brooding, well-spaced, feed and water, 80% of the floor cover. Picture 5, inadequate lighting. I fully agree with all the comments. But what I'd wanted you to pick here is that picture 3, these birds are definitely congested. Number 2, those birds don't have water in their drinking water, in their drinkers. As well, they don't have feed. Somebody said about their ventilation, clearly it is not the best of the houses. In picture 4 and 5, what I just wanted you to pick is in terms of the spacing. Those birds look very comfortable. Number 2 as well, as Patrick has indicated, one is a EC house, the other one is a normal open-sided house. But important is that one house they are using the bell drinkers, the others are using the nipple system. One house they are using the pan feeders, the yellow pan feeders. The other house they are using the automatic feeders. So then those are the main things I wanted you to pick from the 2 photos. So even it gives you a pictorial view of how comfortable those birds definitely are in regards to their stocking density. So on food temperature and humidity, again, picture 6, 7, and 8, anything you pick, just put it on the comment section. Picture 6, 7, and 8, anything you pick from it, put it there. I encourage any one of you to simply just type what you're seeing on your screen, comment on any picture that you find something, comment on it. Okay. So then what basically you can see from the first 2 pictures is on what we call pasted vents. Thank you, Patrick. I've seen that you've indicated they are pasted vents. Number 8, you're saying there's huddling birds. So for that as well, again, you've indicated that in picture 8, temperature's not right, and the chicks are going to one corner, which is very true. Augustine, you're saying picture 6, there's a pasty vent in that bird. Yeah, picture 6 and 7, SKK, you're saying this pasted vent most likely due to constipation. So what is this pasted vent? Most noticeable sign you're going to be able to see is the distress tick, weakness, general weakness of the chick. You'll find those chicks, they'll not be feeding and drinking correctly. As from the photos, you'll see soiled area around the vent, and in some worst case scenarios, you're going to see the protrusion of the vent. So what causes this? One, dehydration during chick as well. If you have inconsistent heating during brooding, so then that means these are very huge temperature variations inside the brooder. It can surely cause the pasted vents. It can be even due to diseases. So then there's some diseases that we know that are able to cause pasted vents. Salmonellosis, omphallitis are able to cause this. So if you see such, what do? First of all, make sure when you get your chicks, observe in their vent area if you haven't pasted vents. Try and identify the main reason why you haven't pasted vents. For the birds which are soiled, try to separate them using a warm water and a paper towel. Try to swab the vent area, and you can actually try and apply a bit of lubricant. But if you suspect it to be a bacterial infection, we highly recommend you call a vet to come and assess the situation and give their diagnosis and of course their treatment protocol. So one of the core things that we need to check out in our batch is the internal chick temperature. You might not have the right thermometer to just check this, but just for the point of information, when the chicks arrive to your brooder, the first 4 days, they'll be between 40 to 40.6 degrees Celsius, meaning that if they have their internal body temperature over 41 degrees Celsius, it makes them to pant as chicks. However, when they are past 5 days, their internal body temperature now ranges between 41 to 42 degrees. So then this tells you it is very sensitive for birds during the first 4 days of life. And they can actually suffer from heat stress. And this you'll observe by the chicks panting. What we so much are able to see, it's what we call the chick behaviors inside a brooder. You'll be able to see the birds either huddling on one end as the photos we saw, or whether they are going to try and gather just around the source of the heat to just give an indication that there is no correct temperatures. So these are some of the things you're able to observe. Very critical today for you to be able to notice that the temperature inside that house has to be based on the relative humidity of the environment. So what you're seeing on your screen, for instance, of the broiler's expected temperature versus the relative humidity, is that when you receive your chick, depending on the relative humidity of the environment, you need to adjust the temperatures accordingly. Let me give you an example. If, for instance, I stay in Garissa, where there is a very low relative humidity, right? My assumption is, let's say it is around 40% of relative humidity. When the chicks arrive, the environment needs to be 33 degrees Celsius. However, if I'm staying in Mombasa and the relative humidity is way above maybe 60%, let's say at 70% relative humidity, my temperature reading is supposed to be 30 and not 33. And this is the reason why when we are having readings to do with temperatures, it will be very prudent for us as well to have a reading to do with the relative humidity so that we correct the temperatures appropriately. That is the same scenario with the layers. So when we are having our thermometer readings, it will be very good for us as well to get to understand what is the relative humidity inside that house. This is what happens. This is a flow of the scenario that happens. You don't, for instance, have any thermometer in your house, so you don't have any reading, or you have a thermometer that is not working, or you have your thermometer readings, but it's not based on the humidity. So what happens is that you either you have a high brooding temperature or you chill the birds. What this makes for the birds is that they start fainting when the temperatures are quite high, and it reduces the activity. So then it means they don't feed well, they don't drink their water. If you don't have enough ventilation, they huddle near air inlet. So you find birds trying to reach out to where there's clean air. You'll find as well, so there's some birds who are going to start spreading their wings, showing you or telling you as a farmer that the temperatures are quite high. You'll find there's some other birds which are going to start pecking. So these are some of the chick behavior you're going to observe. So then what does that translate to? It translates to reduced feed intake, translates to loss of moisture, and especially when they pant, you're going to see pasted vents that you've seen from the photos. Of course, you're going to have internal impaired body functions that can lead to dehydration and starvation. And this means poor growth rates. And of course, in some worst case scenarios, you'll get mortality. What this translates into you, it is an expensive production process. So then that summarizes in terms of our photos. So if I can just go back to our photos. The first two pictures are showing you a soil bird. Most likely these birds had pasted vents. Then again, the picture number 8 shows you of a house that has a very bad environment for these chicks. But what you can immediately pick from the photo is that the birds are huddling in on one corner, telling you that these birds are actually chilled. And so it tells you these birds are not having the best of the environment. I'm going to go to another need of a bird, and that is good lighting. So then we have different light sources, as you can see from your screen. So then you have different bulbs. We have the fluorescent compact bulb and the tubes. We have the LED bulbs, we have the incandescent bulbs, different watts, the ones which are clear, the ones which are translucent. So these are the different sources of light. Why is it that the light is important in poultry? Poultry lighting programs, first of all, are not standardized, and they vary with the intended objectives. Number two, if you have the wrong lighting programs, you'll impair your flock performance. But however, if you have the correct lighting programs and implemented correctly, you may develop the immune system of the birds, you may enhance uniformity of your birds, and definitely you'll improve the flock welfare. So why do we use light? Number one, when it has been used by an experienced farmer or a professional, as I've indicated, it can actually be a management tool to control the growth of the broilers or the pullets. It can as well be used to enhance sexual maturity of the pullets and as well for egg production in layers. However, and this is a disclaimer, there is no standard poultry lighting program. It all depends with the housing, with the environmental conditions, with your objectives, and of course, your past experiences. What this means is that please reach out to any technical person who will be able to guide you on the best way you'll be able to use your light, your poultry light, to manage your birds. As suggested, broiler lighting program is on your screen. We have two case examples. One is for a farmer who would want to slaughter their birds below 2.5 kilos live weight. The second scenario is for a farmer who would want to slaughter their birds between 2.5 and 3 kilos live weight. So then they have their own different recommended lighting programs in terms of when they introduce in the dark hours. So again, as I've said, just reach out to anyone of technical team, either from KENCHIC or Unga Farm Care. We'll be able to guide you correctly on how to implement this in your farms. For the pullets and the layers, we have the program as well. Again, as I had indicated, the layer program is divided into two. We have what we call the step-down lighting, and this definitely encourages growth and it controls sexual maturity. And then the second phase of the lighting program in the layers is called the light stimulation. This then stimulates the egg production and of course increases feed consumption. So reach out to any one of us who will be able to visit your farm and be able to guide you on the correct way of implementing the lighting programs. So to go back into my photos, I don't know if there's somebody who had picked anything on this lighting. If you pick any comments on the photos you're seeing on your screen, please put it on the chat function. Then this brings me to the fifth section on what a bird needs. And this is on good nutrition and quality water supply. Again, I've got picture number 9 and picture number 10. Patrick, are these photos visible on your end?
Yes, Daniel. Yes, Daniel.
Yeah, so then I'd request if any one of you is able to clearly pick anything from the photos, that is 9 and 10. Any differences you have picked from the two photos, just type it on the chat function and share. I hope you are having views in terms of the two photos. Kindly just type it on your chat function, what you pick from the two photos. I've got more photos, picture number 11 and picture number 12. So picture number 11 and picture number 12. Patrick, again, will you confirm that the pictures are visible?
Okay, picture 11 is visible, but picture 12 is a bit fake. We can't really tell what is in those particular measurement cylinders.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Consolata. I've seen your comments as well. I've seen Wambo your comments. Okay. So what I want to just take you through is what we call feed structure. A poultry feed can either be a mash, pellet, or crumb. So a mash is basically a mixture of grinded raw materials. A mash contains smaller and big particles. but the balance between the small and the bigger particles has to be balanced. And there's a ratio that is casted on your screen on how that diet is supposed to be in terms of the millimeter of the particle sizes. This is a tool, picture 12. That is a tool that one is able to use at the farm to check on the balanced particle sizes of a mash or a pellet diet. So it's called a sieve analysis kit. So that sieve analysis kit will indicate whether the 3.15 millimeter, 2 to 3.5, 1 to 2 millimeter, and less than 1 millimeter particle sizes are within the acceptable ranges. A pellet is produced from a mash diet, but now that mash diet has been passed through pressure and temperature to make that pellet. So again, using the sieve analysis kit, there are the acceptable feed structure or the particle sizes of a pellet. For the poultry, it's supposed to be between 2 to 3.5 millimeter in diameter, and the length to be between 5 to 10 millimeters. A crumble is basically a pellet that now has been crushed. And so then that is the process. So you start with a mash, you go to the pellet, and then you crush it to make a crumble. This is very good for chicks. However, the balance between the particle sizes really matters in chicks. So just to go back on the first photo, Consolata, you had indicated that the red tray not placed well and can easily be contaminated. That is very true. Well, for me, it is much more of what we call the feed spillage. As you can see on the side of the tray, there's a lot of spillage, and this is a waste. And likely there's a reason behind it. These birds were past the age of feeding from the chick tray. Yeah. So then this informs the farmer it is high time that you remove the chick tray if the birds are way past day 4 and you start introducing the feeders. Picture number 10 just shows you a layer chick on day 1 old in a cage system feeding on the chick paper. So then for me, these birds are okay. There is no alarm. They're able to access their water through the nipple system, and they are having a good environment. So I have some more photos, picture 13, 14, and 15. If you're able to pick anything from any of the photos, please just type it in your comment section. Patrick, I'll keep on asking if you're able to see the photos. Please confirm for me that the photos are visible.
This one is quite visible.
So any person can simply just type in what you're seeing from those 3 photos, anything you pick different. If you have noticed it is one of your farms, forgive me for today, because we just want to learn more so that we're able to improve our farms. Any comments on picture 13? Any comments on picture 14? Any comments on picture 15? Are welcome on the chat function. More photos. Picture 16. Picture 17. And picture 18. If you have any comments, feel free to just type in the comment section, in the chat section, just what you observe. Okay. So then it is clearly obvious what you're seeing on your screen in terms of the photos I've shared. But what I'd want just to rush through is on what we call manure consistency scoring. So whenever you have time to scout inside your poultry unit, find time and look at the droppings, because it will give you a clear indication on what is happening inside the digestive system of your birds. The first top photos you're seeing on your screen, first of all, to start with, is that a bird gives you what we call an intestinal dropping, and as well it gives you a cecal dropping. So then a bird gives you two droppings. So on the lower left picture is an image of a correct intestinal dropping. So this is a dropping where you find there's a white area on the dropping, and then there's a long grayish component on the dropping. Then on the lower right picture is a normal cecal dropping. So usually this you see it mainly early in the morning or late in the later part of the day. And so this is a normal cecal dropping. So then this is not diarrhea. So you'll find the farmers who will call, say, oh, I think my birds having brownish diarrhea. So these are normal cecal dropping. However, if the bird digestive system is not good, you'll either have a poor intestinal dropping, and the photo is on the upper left side, or you are going to get very foamy cecal dropping, the photo on the upper right side. So then there's a way you're able to score when you scout inside your poultry unit. And clearly this is a very good tool that will help you to understand how your birds are performing in terms of their digestive systems. So find time again to reach out to any one of us to visit you so that you're able to do and show you how to score your birds. So I'll go to the photos. Number 15. Augustine is saying there's dust on the bell drinker. Picture 14, there is a water layer, which is a yellow in color, which is true. Picture 16, there's a comment that of course, water is not clean, which is very true. So then for me, picture 13, in summary, the birds don't have water. Picture 14, the birds have water, but I think most likely this water is not clean, or the water had some vitamins or medication that was given to them, so they are taking some medication. But quite important thing in picture 14, there's a spillage of water just next to the bell drinker. Yeah, this is a point of infection. Yeah, so as a farmer, you need to note such things. Picture number 15. For me, this one is very interesting, that you are having birds inside the house, but the drinkers are up on the roof being hanged. So then the question is, what are they doing up there? And they are supposed to be down there. And then it's so interesting that instead of using the bell drinker, the farmer decided to use improvised mtungis to give the water to the birds. Picture number 16, clearly these are dirty water. Mainly these are the small tanks you get for the cage system. Picture 17 as well, contaminated water. Picture 18, the farmer as well had even invested on a water meter, but definitely they're not able to read the meter because the meter itself is even dirty. So one of the things that I tell farmers whenever I visit with you is that make sure you have a digital weighing scale Make sure as well you have something that is able to record your temperature and your relative humidity. These are available in shops. If they are not easily available in the shops, you can simply just go to the Jumia, the online platform, Jumia platform. Just type a digital weighing scale, just type a digital thermometer, digital hygrometer. You'll be able to buy there. So they are available. Make sure at least to find time and purchase one so that you're able to monitor your birds. That's the summary on the humidity. I mean the nutrition and the quality water that we need to give our birds. I'm going to tackle good health and proper vaccination status of your bird. So in terms of when you get your chicks, what are some of the first things you need to do in terms of trying to understand the health status of your birds? One, just check on the quality of your chicks. Look at their reflex. Look at the navel. Are they healed? Look at the legs. Look at the hocks. Look at the defects. And this quality assessment is a very good tool for you to be able to understand what is the start-off point for these birds. When you get your eggs, look at the deformities of the eggs. What is the frequency? These are some of the photos our farmers had shared in one of our forums. These are actually eggs in some of our farms. I know some of you might pick one or two photos in your farm. These are farms. So then check on the external egg quality. As well, check on the internal egg quality. Break an egg or two. Just check, are you able to see the meat, the red spots? Are you able to see what is the consistency of the yolk? In summary, you'll find such one or two aspects of poor egg quality. Can be calcium deposits, can be blood stained, can be cracked, can be dirty, can be stained, can be wrinkled, can be elongated. So try to understand when my birds are laying eggs, what is the frequency of the deformed eggs? What am I getting more often? Is it the round eggs? Are they smaller eggs? Am I getting stained eggs? Am I getting lots of calcium deposits on my egg? Just try and understand and observe and see the frequency. So it can be anything in terms of egg. It can be the flock strain. It can be management issue. It can be egg handling issue. It can be the yolk. It can be the albumin. It can be the overall egg issue. So again, just call a technical person to be able to as well come and visit with you, to be able to try and troubleshoot, try to pinpoint what are some of the issues you are facing in your farm. This brings me to the last aspect of the needs of a bird, and that is on the poultry welfare. There are 5 freedoms of a bird, and that is hunger, freedom from hunger and thirst. There's a freedom from discomfort. There's a freedom from pain, injury, or disease. There's a freedom to express normal behavior. And there's a freedom from fear and distress. What is poultry welfare and what is it guided by? It's guided by the 5 freedoms I've mentioned. Again, it's guided by the poultry industry standards applicable to the different regions of the world. It's also based by legislation in terms of poultry matters. And of course, it has to have a science backing. Who are the driving force for this? the consumer, the people who take the broiler meat, the people who take the eggs are the ones who drive the poultry welfare. Again, the animal activists as well drive the poultry welfare agenda. So, what are the poultry welfare? We've talked about the animal welfare. What are the poultry welfare? That food and water are readily accessible to the birds, that the birds have the freedom to move, stand, turn around, stretch, sit, and lie down, that the birds can see each other, that the birds need to have a housing that protects them from weather, and that housing does not harm or distress those birds, that the birds need to be prevented from disease, from injury, from any vice. And if an animal is diseased or injured, or there's an outbreak, or there's feather pecking, or there's cannibalism, they must be treated and managed as quickly as possible. So then these are the welfare that surrounds the poultry business. So I'd request you to give your feedback on picture 19 and 20. So what do you pick from the two photos, picture 19 and picture 20? So again, just simply type your comments in the chat function. Patrick, are the photos visible?
Picture 19 is visible. However, picture 20 is blurred.
Okay.
But you can, anyway, I'll not spill anything. Let our clients make an observation out of it and give us their comment.
Okay. So then if you've observed anything, feel free to just type in the chat function. We have more photos. Photo number 20, picture number 21 and picture number 22. So then if you observe anything in picture number 21 or in picture number 22, again, feel free to just type in the comment section. So I'd want to just talk a bit on ammonia. Yeah, I've seen SKK, you commented on picture 21 to be a bumblefoot. But I'd want just to comment on ammonia emission. Most of our farms, before even we enter your gate, we definitely know huku ni kwa kuku because of the smell that comes from the unit, from the poultry unit. And mainly this is because of the ammonia. So how is it done, or where does ammonia come from? When the birds take the ingest protein, it is metabolized and the birds releases uric acid in the manure. That uric acid breaks down into urea, or it is converted to urea. Then the urea breaks down into carbon dioxide, and then ammonia gas is released in the air. So what promotes ammonia emission? One, excess moisture, and that is water spillage inside the poultry house. Number two, if there's a high pH of the litter, or in other words, the birds have taken a lot of calcium carbonates in their diets, then again, it promotes the emission of ammonia. Number three, if the birds have taken high amounts of protein, excess amount of protein, it means the birds will have to shed or to release excess protein through the uric acid. Then this contributes to excess emission of ammonia. If the litter microbial enzymes that converts the urea and breaks it down to ammonia and carbon dioxide, if their populations are high, then it means that you'll have a lot of ammonia emission. And lastly, if you have poor ventilation inside your house, so then it means the generated ammonia does not have a place to exit, then it means you're going to have a lot of ammonia inside your house. So the photo what you're seeing on your screen on your right is a lady who turns her litter. She rakes her litter. And why she does that is she's trying to expose the ammonia to escape from the litter. Yeah. So I suggest in your farms, if you don't rake your litter, please start doing so, because it helps the birds to be able to have a better environment. So just back to your comments, picture number 21, that's a bumblefoot. Of course, Patrick will be able to give us much more information on why the bumblefoot, what happens, but it comes as a result of poor litter quality. It as well comes as a result of very sharp litter, hardwood. When you use hardwood, and they are not very comfortable for the birds. Picture number 22, for me, it is a good indication of a foot, of a bird's foot. Picture number 20, as suggested or commented by Regina, is a picture of a congested house, but of course, it is a kind of the accessories the birds are having, and as well, it is of the poor litter quality on the floor. So lastly, I've got some photos, picture number 23 and picture number 24. These are going to be the last photos I'll ask you to comment on. So then if you have any opinion or any observation that you find from those two pictures, please just put it on your chat function. Picture number 23 and 24. Patrick, again, are they visible?
Yes, they are, Daniel.
Okay. If you have any observation you find from the two photos, feel free to just type in the chat function. And so then this is my summary. Stockmanship. So staying alert on the bird's behavior and the environment is very important in our farms. And it is something that I've realized that we have missed out in our farms, and we have lost in terms of our profitability in our business. So then that brings me to the end of my presentation today. So I'll give this session back to Patrick so that he's able to take us through maybe the few questions that you farmers have just raised them up in the chat function. Patrick.
Thank you, Daniel, for the very clear session that you've given to us. We just have a few questions from